Hello, everyone. Welcome to the MeanGene Show here on iHeartRadio. Getting you ready for championship weekend, which starts tomorrow, Sunday, January 24th. And by the way, this is one of two shows I'm going to be doing for the big game. I am joined by my regular season co-host and great friend from Charlotte, North Carolina. He's an analyst for Fox Sports Southeast. He covers the Carolina Panthers and the Charlotte Hornets. Please welcome Dustin Phifer. What's up, Dustin?
What's going on, Gene? Glad to be back.
Glad to be back, man. And I know you're glad to be back, man, because I know you have something to tell all the listeners. We are going to get ready for tomorrow's big game. But as you know, man, before we do that, we got to go back and recap last weekend's divisional rounds, which I know, man, you cleaned up. Let's just go ahead and start. Let's start with that. Let's start with the Rams and the Packers. And I think we both got that game. I think we both were good to go with that one. I think that's probably the only game I won. The Packers won 32-18, and we just knew it, with the situation. It was kind of sad to see Aaron Donald, tears in his eyes after that game. We kind of knew that it was a game they wanted to win, but they were overmatched. The Packers, the Packers are the Packers. They just have been flawless for pretty much the entire 2020 season.
Yeah, I mean that game it went how I expected it to. I will say I was a little surprised that Aaron Rodgers and the Packers offense moved the ball as easily as they did. But then again, the way Aaron Rodgers is playing this year, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. But I just thought that Rams defense might put up a little more of a fight, but that was just the downfall for the Rams. Once you get behind a team like the Packers and you don't have an offense that can score quick or put up points like that, you're just going to be playing catch up all day. And they did a good job to try to get it back to one score and try to make it a game, middle of the game, third quarter. But Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, I mean those guys just were too much on offense. And then you got to give the defense for the Packers a lot of credit. They really started playing better the last couple weeks. They got a guy like Jair Alexander in the back as the corner, who's one of the better corners in the league. And then their defense up front was able to do enough to put some pressure on Goff. So they're a dangerous team right now. They've got everything clicking. And when you've got the defense playing like that to go along with the Aaron Rodgers combo offense, I mean, they're going to be a hard team to beat.
That's true, and like you say, I mean, the defense did get better, and it was the only thing they needed to shore up because when the offense is, you didn't have to tweak anything with that offense. So when you only have to focus on the defense, and they did a good job holding the Rams down to 18, and I know at some point in time, and the media is starting to make a big deal out of it. I didn't see this one coming, but there appears to be, some disconnect between Jared Goff and Sean McVay.
Yeah, there does. And the reports after the games were saying, Sean McVay basically, he said, the infamous quote that all coaches say when they don't know, what they want to do going forward, but they say, we will evaluate everything, and that includes the quarterback. So, when you hear that statement and they tell you that they're going to evaluate everything, that means they're definitely not happy with what's going on. And so if I was Jared Goff, I know he's got a big contract and he's got a lot of money, but I wouldn't feel so good about where his footing is with that job because, I mean, and I've said this before, Gene, and I think you agree with me, but Goff is a average quarterback. But with a guy like an offensive wonder like Sean McVay has always made him look better because of the schemes and play calling. So, eventually that was going to catch up to them. Even as good as McVay is, teams are going to figure some of that stuff out. And so now it's kind of showing on Goff. And when you're a young guy like McVay who's got stars on the defense like Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey and a young running back like Cam Akers with good receivers in Kupp and Robert Woods, McVay and you're in a town like LA with a brand new stadium, even though it's COVID, they're not going to sit around and wait to see if Jared Goff's going to come along. That's a city that's going to want to win, that's got a lot of money into their team. And so they're going to want to try to win now. So if I was Goff, I'd definitely be looking over my shoulder to see what was coming next.
But what I don't understand, Dustin, is, and we've seen it now, and this is what the third team, possibly the fourth, if the Dallas Cowboys were to throw the buck at Dak Prescott, we've seen these teams throw these big time contracts at these quarterbacks, and all of a sudden now look at Carson Wentz, look at Jimmy Garoppolo, now look at Jared Goff, and now these teams are like, whoa, they don't even know if they want these quarterbacks now. And now Jerry Jones looks like the smart one here by not pulling the trigger so quick with Dak Prescott.
Yeah, no, I mean absolutely. And the thing is, though, I all those guys, Garoppolo. I think it's different because I think Garoppolo and Goff. Yes, they've won some playoff games. Yes, Garoppolo went to a Super Bowl last year. Yes, Goff has got them far. I think they went to a Super Bowl as well. But I still don't think they're on the same level as Dak Prescott, even though Dak Prescott hasn't won those playoff games. But Dak Prescott hasn't had the complete team around him like those two guys have. So okay. I get teams trying to pay for their quarterbacks. They want to lock them up because it's so hard to find a franchise guy. But I mean, that's where you get stuck when you pay those guys money like Garoppolo, who only had 10 starts. Because you gotta remember they paid Garoppolo before he made that Super Bowl run. Exactly. They gave him all that money before he made that run.
Right.
And so it's just a dangerous game that teams play because they know how hard it is to find a franchise guy and keep him, so they throw that money at him. But then you get in these situations now where it's really tough to get out of these contracts. And if they do want to move on from Jared Goff, what team is going to want to trade for him and take on that contract knowing that he's just an average quarterback?
Right, yeah, and the Wentz situation is even worse, so I see what you're saying. So interesting stuff. So we'll see. The offseason is going to be interesting there in Philadelphia and Los Angeles. So let's look at the next divisional round that took place Saturday night, and that was the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. So very disappointing performance by the Ravens, only putting up 3 points. And, of course, the critics will continue to pressure Lamar Jackson and his performance in playoff games. And, of course, they will do the opposite there when it comes to the Bills. And it didn't take much to beat the Ravens. 17 points, and that's all that they needed. And I know you called this game, you got it right. I thought the Ravens were on that revenge tour, but man, so much for revenge when 3 points is all that you can put up in 60 minutes of play.
Yeah, I mean it's tough. I mean that Ravens defense did everything they could to keep them in the game for as long as they could. But when your offense just can't generate points, and then on top of that, your offense gives up 7 points on a 100-yard pick six, I mean, you're just not going to overcome that against a good team like the Bills. So, I mean, it's the same thing with the Ravens. They're just too one-dimensional. They have a good run game. They have a good defense, but they just don't have enough playmakers to make those explosive plays that you need when you go up against another good team like the Buffalo Bills. And, part of that's going to go on Lamar Jackson because people are going to say he can't throw it like you need to throw it. Mm-hmm. But I think the majority of it, if you're asking me, in my opinion, the majority of it goes on they need to find better weapons for Lamar Jackson. They have a great tight end in Mark Andrews. They have good run game, but they don't have a number one receiver on that team. And I've been through that some of the years here when we had Cam Newton here in Carolina, where he didn't have that number one guy after Steve Smith, and he struggled. But, as good as a quarterback is, there's only one or two quarterbacks in this league, maybe three. You're talking Brady, Breeze is about to retire, and Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. Those are the only guys that can take some no-name receivers and really turn them into somebody. So
that's true.
If you don't have those guys, you have to have weapons that are going to help your quarterback. And I think that's the number one off-season priority is for them to go out and find the number one wide receiver for Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. And, we talked about this, the week prior, that how Lamar Jackson saved John Harbaugh's career. And now, it's going to be a sense of urgency in finding those weapons that you just mentioned, because something's going to have to give at some point. And I think with Lamar Jackson being so young, John Harbaugh's going to have to really find something else. He might be on the chopping block at some point in time if he doesn't, make something happen soon. Would you agree?
No, I would agree. They're going to have to make something happen because the thing about it is the two teams that they're looking up to, the Bills and the Chiefs. I mean, the way they're looking, those are going to be probably the top two teams in the AFC here for the next few years. I mean, you've got a guy like Mahomes, obviously, and the weapons they have, but then you look at a guy like Josh Allen, who's, I mean, so young and just coming into his own, not even in his prime yet. So those are two teams that they're going to be battling with every year to try to get atop that AFC. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be up to Harbaugh and that general manager staff and then to figure out how they can do that if they want to stay in contention to get one of those top spots.
And then again, last week we said that Harbaugh and Tomlin, they sort of joined at the hip there. So they probably go out on the buddy program, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. That definitely is the case in Baltimore. Like I said, I can see the hot seat coming, but I think they've got to build that roster, right? I mean, I looked at it on ESPN, I think this week, and there's a ton of free agents in the receiver category. So that's something that they really need to go out there and look at in the offseason.
Absolutely. So the divisional round took us into Sunday. And it started off with the Cleveland Browns and the Kansas City Chiefs, and you continued your perfect streak here although this game was interesting. Now the Chiefs won 22-17. This game really got interesting because Patrick Mahomes, he battled with this toe issue, and then all of a sudden he got injured late in the game when it. And Dustin, I mean, you tell me, I didn't really see what everybody was talking about. I didn't really see his head hit the turf that hard. And I don't know where the concussion came from. And I'm still puzzled by exactly what happened to Patrick Mahomes to where he didn't finish that game.
Yeah, that was very interesting because I didn't see the head hit the turf either. Now I did see when he stood up that he looked a little out of it, but I didn't see where he hit it at. When he first went down, I was thinking again that it was the toe or the foot because we had seen the drive before that in that drive that he was really struggling with that to plant that foot. So that really came out of nowhere, and it definitely changed that game. And that game, besides Mahomes getting hurt, I didn't expect that. It went about how I expected. I remember I told you I wanted to pull the trigger on the Cleveland Browns. I knew it was going to be close. I knew Cleveland was going to hang around. Obviously, Mahomes going out helped that, but that game kind of played out how I expected it. And I honestly thought that once Mahomes went out and Chad Henne threw that interception in New England, I thought that it was Cleveland's game to win, and I thought they were going to win it because I told you I thought they had all this momentum and luck on their side. But give props to that Chiefs defense for getting stopped when they needed it, and give props to Andy Reid. I mean,
oh my goodness,
this guy, this guy still doesn't get enough credit in my opinion. I mean, obviously he was a great coach in Philadelphia, but he never won the big one. He comes over to Kansas City and he wins the Super Bowl, but of course everybody says, oh, well, he wins the Super Bowl because he's got Pat Mahomes and this and that. But look what he does yesterday. He has a backup quarterback in the game on a playoff game with the game on the line, and he lets him throw the ball
4th and 1
at midfield and converts it. I mean, that is a coach who plays to win. He knows his team and trusts his team, and he's got to get a lot of credit for that.
Hey, and the funniest thing of all was listening to Tony Romo make that call because Tony Romo is great, by the way, when it comes to predicting. He's almost 99% accurate when it comes to calling and predicting these plays, but he was totally shocked that they went for it.
Oh yeah, he was already when they were walking into the line, he was saying, "Look, they're not going to run a play. They're not going to run a play."
Exactly.
And they did it on purpose. They made it look like they weren't going to run anything, and then they snapped it and found.
It was crazy. You could tell that the Browns defense was like, nah, come on. Their body language and everything just looked like they were not. They showed no sense of urgency or nothing. It just looked like this is formality. You know what I'm saying? And it was. I tell you, man, that was crazy. And you're right. Andy Reid does not get enough credit.
I tell you what, Gene. I hate to. I'm not doing this just because you're a Steelers guy, and I hate to bring it back up, but I'm going to bring up an old Herm Edwards quote: "You play to win the game," and that's why I said coaches they need to be more aggressive in situations like that and trust their team, and that's why I think Tomlin should have went for it on 4th down.
Come on, you
don't get the ball back,
right? I felt some kind of way when I saw that because it was like, come on, really? And especially when you were down, and I mean, and the Browns were. I mean, they were not. They weren't. It wasn't down by that many points, but still, the Steelers were down by a lot and needed that 4th and 1, and they punted. So, but hey, it was a great game, man, and you called it. And now one of the reasons why I'm doing two championship shows is because Mr. Picks and Jacob Meadows, both of these guys are just crazy when it comes to the money lines and the odds and the spreads. And this is what they want to talk about tomorrow morning because the Browns covered the spread in that game last week. I think it was a 10-point whatever. So all of the Browns fans, whoever, they won money. And so even though they didn't win that game, it was just crazy. So the odds for the tomorrow's games, they've been steady all week, and that's very, very interesting. And so that's why I'm doing another show. It's basically a shut up and listen show for me, Dustin, because I know absolutely nothing about point spreads and over unders. Okay, you know.
Hey, well, I'll tell you what. Anytime you need help with that, you let me know. I like to study the lines. I like to study the over/unders. I even like to study the player props because I like to see what players are going to do in games. So anytime you need help with that, I like having fun with that.
Okay, cool. See, that's good to know, man. I just like this traditional stuff, talking about these players that we get to, interview and watch throughout their careers and stuff. But so, now let's talk a little bit more about the ending of that game because, Mahomes, he goes out and Chad Henne comes in there, and then all of a sudden, you're looking at two issues with Patrick Mahomes. He goes into the tent, dealing with the turf toe. He's dealing with the concussion, and we'll talk more about that going into championship week here, and what to expect with that. But Chiefs win 22-17. So now we get into Sunday night's game, which you win again, and it was the Buccaneers and the Saints. Now I get close, man. I get so close. I got so close in these games, except for the Buffalo and Ravens game. So the Buccaneers lose. I mean, the Buccaneers win. I'm sorry, 30-20. And I did not see Dustin Drew Brees throwing what? How many picks did he end up with in that game? 3.
It was 3. Yeah.
In a game that looked so winnable for the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest with you. Even though I picked the Bucs and I did get that right, I didn't see the way that game playing out like that, and especially I was pretty concerned early on because the way Tampa Bay's offense was playing, they really weren't getting anything going. New Orleans was controlling the field position game with their punt returner. Obviously, he got hurt, and that kind of hurt them. But they had the whole first half. The Saints really controlled that game and controlled the field position. And it looked like they just weren't in control of the game. You were just waiting for them to make some plays, but it just never happened. And I give a ton of credit to the Tampa Bay defense because there were 2 drives early there where New Orleans got short fields because of the punt returns and things like that. And they held them both to field goals. So that really changed the game. And then their defense just continued to get better as the game went along. And they forced Drew Brees into some turnovers. And then Tom Brady, he does what he does. He was able to make some throws when he needed to. And that's what Tom Brady's done his whole career. I mean, yes, we know he's the greatest of all time, but he's not, I wouldn't say he's the most talented quarterback of all time. Those guys, you're looking like Aaron Rodgers, Dan Marino, guys like that. But what Tom Brady does is he does not make mistakes. Yeah. And when he does not make mistakes and he does not turn the ball over, he's going to have a chance to win every week. And they did that. And a huge shout out to a guy who I watch this every snap of this game, Gene, and I thought he just dominated the game, and that was Devin White, the linebacker for the Bucs. I mean, he just completely dominated that game, had a fumble recovery, had an interception, and the Bucs were able to take care of business. And what do you know? Tom Brady just is in another championship game. I mean, it just seems like it's never going to end.
And that's the scary part. And my pick, I tell you, I did not make up my mind really about my picks and I've played around with the thought of who I was going to pick. Actually, I went back and forth with it all week, even just sitting there talking with my son this week. And this morning, I made a decision. and on who I'm going to pick going into championship week. So let's jump right into it. You know,
real quick, Gene, I did want to say real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know you picked the Saints, but could you ever imagine that Michael Thomas would have 0 catches for 0 yards?
No.
It just blew me away, and I don't think that as much credit as Peyton gets for being an offensive genius, I don't think they gave the ball to Kamara. I just don't think they used their weapons the way they should have. It. The only big play they had was the Jameis
Winston, yeah. And you know, I mean, and that you see that from time to time, teams will go away from what they have been successful with that got them there. And I didn't, of all teams that I thought would not change anything, would be the Saints. So I don't know. I mean, it just crazy. That was the best play. The trick play was still there, and I mean, hey, Jameis Winston's stock went up for that one game. I'm sure he's going to get a lot of calls in the offseason.
Yes, it did. Well, I will have to say before we move on to previewing these games that if it is the end, and it kind of looks like it is, we don't know yet, but if it is the end for Drew Brees, as much as being biased, being a Panthers fan, and that's their rival, and we're tired of them winning everything. One of the all-time greats, what he did to get his career going, what he did for the city of New Orleans. Mm-hmm. Man, you can't say enough about him and what he does off the field as a person too. So great career, and if this is the end, I wish him all the best, and he definitely will go down as one of the best quarterbacks of all time.
Yeah, so. I agree with you. I mean, he's got fans, on the East Coast and the West Coast, with out there with San Diego and being a small quarterback, man, defying the odds there and being successful, man. He was one of the greater quarterbacks to watch play, and you surrounded him with some talent there and to watch what he did over the years and being one of the top 3 quarterbacks in NFL history there. And he's definitely a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think we all know that. So just incredible stuff, man. And then Phillip Rivers, how about that? Another legend there deciding to call it quits. Hey, Dustin, I wasn't surprised Phillip Rivers announced his retirement. I think Phillip Rivers retired in the 4th quarter of that damn game we talked about.
Yeah, I think he was ready to go. I think he had to get back home to his family and all his kids.
Exactly.
I did hear a rumor this morning that it's a rumor that he may end up in the Monday Night Football booth on the broadcast.
Oh, well, hey, you know what? It wouldn't hurt because they're gonna have a choice of who they want to put in that Monday night booth with all these guys retiring.
They really are.
Yeah, I mean, thank goodness this is gonna be good. And if Big Ben decides he's not gonna play, I mean, man, they could have an all-star. They could have an all-star cast in there,
Man, I've got one guy out of my division. Drew Brees is out of there. Now, what do I do to get Tom Brady out of there, Gene? Is it going to be another 10 years?
Hey, well, you know what? Let's see how the next 2 weeks go. Let's see. Maybe Tom Brady goes off into the sunset if things go his way. Let's see. So hey, let's jump into championship week. Tomorrow's first game is going to be played at Lambeau Field there, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Green Bay Packers. And if anyone wants to know this extra information, I'll just tell you, the Battle of the Bays, if you want to know who has the edge there. The Packers lead the all-time series between the Battle of the Bays, 32-22-1. There was one tie. I have no idea when that tie took place, but these guys do have a little history there. But the Packers have won 3 of the last 4. And of course, we all know what happened early on a few months ago, back in October. The Packers were defeated 38-10. It was the worst game of the season for the Packers as the Buccaneers just beat the brakes off of them. And I'm sure that game is fresh in Aaron Rodgers' mind. And of course, now here we are, Dustin. This is the game. So I'm gonna let you pick this one first.
I mean, here we are. This is gonna be one of those games that you just you really hope happens, and there hasn't been. I think I want to say I think this is the first time that Brady and Rodgers have met in the playoffs, and I mean, you just can't ask for matchups like this. These are dream matchups when you get quarterbacks going like this, and two really good teams. So this is going to be a good one. You get it at Lambeau, at cold Lambeau Field. I think they said it's going to be 24 degrees with some flurries. So I mean, you're going to have that cold weather. So this is going to be a good one, and this is another one, Gene. I think I said it last week on one of the games where I just went back and forth. I really like how the Bucs are playing. I like how they're protecting the football. Tom Brady's making smart decisions. They're running the ball more to open up the play action, and I really like how Tampa Bay's defense has came on up as late. So I really like what they're doing. I think they have every chance to win this game. With that being said, I've had from the start, and I know this isn't a go out on a limb prediction, but from the start of the season, I had Mahomes and Rodgers in the Super Bowl, and I wanted to see that. That was a prediction I made. It's not like I predicted some crazy upset because those are two of the favorites, but I went with that, and I'm going to stick with that. I think the Packers are clicking. I think their offense is clicking. They made that really good Rams defense kind of didn't even look like they were there. So I think they're going to be able to move the ball, and I don't think they're going to make the mistakes that Drew Brees and the Saints made last week. And I think they're going to get it done. I do see this being a one-score tie game in the fourth quarter, but I think Aaron Rodgers, this is his time. He's still on that revenge tour like we talked about. And I think he's going to make some plays, and he's going to finally get back to have himself a chance at another Super Bowl.
You know, I was at the last Super Bowl that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won. I had a chance to hang out with the Raiders and the Buccaneers that whole week in San Diego, California. By the way, one of the best places in America to host the Super Bowl, Dustin. Just the weather is just so great out there.
Amazing.
This was a Super Bowl that the Raiders were supposed to win. This was the Super Bowl where John Gruden had prepared the Raiders, got the Raiders, built the Raiders up, and then he left the Raiders and went to the Buccaneers and beat the Raiders in the Super Bowl. You remember that, right?
Absolutely.
And like I said, with this particular matchup here, man, I went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And if it wasn't for just that horrible defeat, man, that Tampa Bay, I mean, they really beat them bad, and it was the worst game.
Was it 38-10?
Yeah, 38-10. And if it wasn't for that game, I would pick Tampa Bay to win this game. But there's just no way you're gonna leave that bad taste in Aaron Rodgers' mouth and just go. He's just not gonna go down twice like that. I just don't see it. And you know, and I just, you know, I mean, it's been a remarkable season for the Buccaneers, and they are still capable of winning this game now. And you know, Antonio Brown will not play, but I mean, there's still weapons there available for Tom Brady. But I just think, and I agree with this revenge thing. But I mean, these guys have been flawless here for 2 months. Even though I always felt that there was a chance that, man, when are they going to break? When will the Green Bay Packers break and make a mistake? And I just think, they have come too far now to break. I mean, if they were going to break, they were going to break, maybe last week before, whatever, or well, I mean, I know they had that bye. And this team,
so that's what I was going to say. If they were going to break, it would have been after the bye when they would have came out ready to go. But now that they've done that, they're ready to roll now.
And they're not going to break at Lambeau. They may break on the road. So I'm gonna agree with you. Last week I went against you. I woke up this morning and I said, "Listen to Dustin. Listen to Dustin." So I got the Packers too. I'm going with the Packers.
I mean, I think we're both on the same page. I think we know it's going to be close. I think we know that Tom Brady's on the other side, and it's hard to count on him in a playoff game. And I mean, it's like you said when you said earlier. Let's see what happens with these next 2 weeks. There's so much on the line for both of these quarterbacks. I mean, yes, Tom Brady has 6 Super Bowls, and he's going to go down as the GOAT regardless. And he's still playing at a high level. But when you're 43. You don't know how many more chances you're going to get. And just because he has 6 doesn't mean he's not earning for a 7th. So I mean, he wants it as bad as anybody. So he knows how close he is. He's going to want to go get it. And the same for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's getting up there in age as well. He's still obviously one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but as good as he is, he's only got one Super Bowl. So the chance to get that second one, I know how bad he wants it. I know how bad the Packers want it, and I just think them being at home and the way they're playing with the way Rodgers is playing, probably having the best season of his career, I just think he's going to get it done in a close one.
Yeah, and a close one. See, now that's the thing too. Now, don't be surprised if you hear me say, "Okay, I'm taking the Bucs and the points." That's a different story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I agree. Look, I think the line is 4 points, and I think if I did take points, I'd probably take that because I think it could be a field goal game.
Right. Now that's Oh, I didn't know it was 4. So man, it's been creeping up there lately. Yeah, it was 3 all week.
It started at 3.5, and I think it was 4 last time I looked.
Okay. All right. So now that brings us to the AFC Championship game, which will be played immediately after the NFC Championship game, Arrowhead Stadium. And there's a little history between the Bills and the Chiefs there. The Bills lead the all-time series 24-21 and 1. There's always a tie in there. And the Chiefs have won 4 of the last 5. The Bills just have not been relevant over the last 20 years or so, but they are back, and they are led by their outstanding quarterback, Josh Allen, and Devin Singletary and Stephon Diggs are the big 3 there. And Patrick Mahomes. I hear that Clyde Edwards-Helaire will be playing. Am I correct with that? Is that what you're hearing?
Yeah, I believe that's right. I believe he's going to play. I believe Sammy Watkins is going to be back.
Oh wow!
And then obviously the big news was Mahomes has cleared the concussion protocol, so he should be good to go as well. So it looks like they're going to be about as healthy as they've been in the last couple months.
Yeah, and I mean this one I'm going to make clear that I'm going with the Chiefs. I know Buffalo.
Okay.
Buffalo. I tell you what. Now. If that defense doesn't find a way to contain Stephon Diggs, they will be busy, all day. And Stephon Diggs single-handedly can beat you. If he has over 100 yards, it's not going to be good. I mean, I have seen him destroy teams, and that's just what it really going to boil down to. Their running game won't be as good because, they don't have Moss. But I just think Kansas City has so many weapons there. I think Kelsey's going to have a big game. I think, I think Mahomes really is going to come back even stronger. I just think they're determined to get back to the Super Bowl now. And, it's another story as far as who's going to win. We'll talk about that when we get there. But I just think this team is going to win. I mean, yeah, they're going to win tomorrow. So that's my prediction. Kansas City will win tomorrow.
Okay. And these games, I mean, these are probably 2 of the best, championship Sunday games we've had in a little bit. I mean, we're talking about these are the 2 best teams in the AFC. Mm-hmm. These are the 2 teams who have the 2 best quarterbacks in the AFC right now. What Josh Allen is doing coming into his own in his prime with Stephon Diggs and that connection is pretty unbelievable. And then that defense is pretty underrated. I mean, they don't get enough credit for, the turnovers that they make, the plays that they make. They have a good defensive line, a good back secondary. So they definitely have what it takes to go to Arrowhead and win this game. And again, I think this will be another one-score game. And like you said, I think the big key for the Bills is that Stephon Diggs connection, obviously. But I also think, like you said, their run game is not great. So I think it's going to be very important for Josh Allen to use his legs some because he's very underrated as an athlete and as a runner. So he's going to need to get out on the run to make some throws, maybe use his legs to pick up some first downs. And I think that'll be very important because I'm still not completely sold on this Chiefs defense. As good as that offense is, that Chiefs defense can be suspect at times.
True.
So, with all that being said, I think you thought maybe I was going to ride the Bills all the way, but I'm going to lean Chiefs and I'm going to pick the Chiefs because of Pat Mahomes, because of Travis Kelce, because of Tyreek Hill. And then if you were able to get Watkins and Helaire back, then that's just his full stable of weapons. And
exactly.
I just think, they're going to be clicking. They're going to be ready to go. Mahomes is going to be ready to prove a point. Come back from an injury. So I'm going to lean Chiefs in a close game. And they'll have some fans there would at least make a little bit of noise, so it'll make a little bit of difference. So I'm going to take them and stick with my prediction of a Mahomes Aaron Rodgers Super Bowl.
Are you going with the State Farm thing there, huh?
That's definitely going to be a dream for them if that ends up happening. But
hey, look.
Can you imagine could you imagine for the fans the dream if it ends up being Mahomes and Rodgers?
Oh, I know it.
Up to that and what would go on, it'd be incredible. But it's hard to go against the Chiefs when they've had. I mean, Mahomes, this is his third championship game in the 4 years he's been in the league. I mean, that's pretty incredible. So, I just think Andy Reid, he showed. I mean, he didn't need to show me anything. Andy Reid's a great coach, but when he just showed me even more. And I just think he can be ready to game plan or ready to go for this game on Sunday.
I was looking for that State Farm Bowl a few years ago when the Rams. Who was it that knocked off Green Bay? I think the Rams knocked off Green Bay that year, and I think they went on into the Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. Because they've been, they have been sort of on the bridge of meeting each other. So, who knows? Tomorrow we just might get there. And I've been telling people that, hey, I guarantee you we will see a brand new State Farm commercial with Jake and Aaron Rodgers, and because the last one that those three did was at that restaurant, and I think I think Jake is talking with Aaron, and because Patrick Mahomes is eating, he's just sitting there eating and not even paying attention to them.
Yeah.
And so we'll see, man. It's going to be interesting. But so there we go. So we're both on the same page here, and that's rare, Dustin. Because I tell you, you ate me alive last week.
Scary.
Yeah, that is scary, man. Hey, before we go, man, I just want to give my thoughts and prayers to the Hank Aaron family because we lost an icon yesterday, and that was very shocking to hear. Even though at 86, man, he looked like he was in pretty good shape there.
Man, this is exactly why we're co-hosts, Gene, because those words were about to come out of my mouth before we ended the show, and I mean. This is a football show, but it doesn't matter. When you lose a sports icon like that and one of the true all-time greats in all of sports, not only on the field but off the field, I'm a lifelong Braves fan. Yes, Hank Aaron obviously was a little bit before my time, but I've seen his whole story being a Braves fan. I've seen what he had to endure coming up through his career, and like I said, what he was able to do, how he was able to handle everything he did. With grace and dignity, and still be one of the best players with everything he had going on back in those times. I mean, you can't say enough good things about him. Like you said, I when watching all these Braves games, because I'm a huge fan and I watch every one. He was on a lot of the broadcasts, and he seemed in really good health.
Yeah.
He still was, still was very attentive. Still had great interviews, and so it's very sad to see. That's sad to hear. So prayers definitely go out to him and his family. And I mean to the baseball community, because this is definitely I think he's probably one of the 3 or 4 best baseball players of all time. And then when people talk about him off the field, they talk about him even better than they did as a baseball player.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you just can't say enough good things about him.
Absolutely, man. And on another sad note, from a radio and a journalistic standpoint, Larry King passed away this morning. I just got word of that. That's when I woke up this morning. So that guy had one of those golden voices, So if
he sure did, and he had such a long career, and it's just, man, it seems like we're start of 2021 is just kind of picking up where 2020 left off. So prayers to all those people's family. I mean,
absolutely.
when you have talking about Larry King, when you have a career like that on TV and a voice like that, again, I mean, just another huge impact. And prayers to all these families, and hopefully this 2021 will start turning the right way for us, and we'll have a better year.
I hope so. Dustin. Hey, man, you enjoy the rest of your day, man. We will connect here and see. We will grade our papers and see what's going to happen now. I will be heading to Tampa on the 1st or the 2nd of February we'll be doing several shows down there, so we will connect for the big game here and make our ultimate prediction, which will put an end to the 2020 football season.
That sounds good, and we'll definitely get together and we'll do some stuff together. Maybe we'll do a couple of games where we pick, who we think is going to have the better game, who we think is going to do well. We'll put some stuff together for the Super Bowl. I'm definitely jealous that you're going to be down.
Hey man, well look here. I'm just going to be isolated, probably confined to a hotel ground somewhere, not moving around as much because things are really isolated there. You got to make appointments as far as where you're going to be and what events you want to go to and crowd control and this and that. So I'll be reporting all that information, once I get down there. But Dustin, man, as always, it's a pleasure, and I will connect with you next week, man. Thanks for joining me.
Absolutely, Gene. Looking forward to it. Thanks.
All right, folks, this is going to wrap it up here for the MeanGene Show. We will see you actually tomorrow with the odds and over-unders with Mr. Picks and Jacob Meadows here on the MeanGene Show right here on iHeartRadio.